Okay, time to look at these two words, I should say. Operating system, or systems. I think, to be honest with you, sometimes when people hear these two words, they get a little bit scared. Oh, it sounds very complex. Operating systems, and then I throw this up. Now, obviously, this is Windows. Not obviously, I should really explain. Windows, it's an old version, XP. And it's cropped that a little. We've got a little start bar, and what it does is that that enables me to basically pop up a menu, and from that menu, what I can do is I can open a program. You can see down, I could have gone to all programs here and then come up with all different Microsoft Office and all the different programs I've got available. I can go to my documents, which you can see over here, my documents, there it is. If I had a memory stick, I could click on my computer, so I'll put my computer there. My computer enables me to go to my memory stick, and I can go into things like I've got the control panel here, which would enable me to do various things, like I could change the volume, I could change my screensaver, my display settings. I could even do things like I could defragment my computer, which I won't bore you with. But that's what the operating system basically is. And what it is, if it likes, it lets you simply control the software, in other words, open things up and edit documents. And also it lets you control the hardware. You could even go in there and do things like overclocking, which we're not going to. Actually, you have to do that in the BIOS, I think. I don't know what I'm talking about. But the whole point is that I could change the resolution of my screen, the volume out to my speakers. I'm controlling the hardware within the operating system. And in this particular case, we have an operating system that uses a GUI, and it's a GUI, by the way, means graphical user interface. And what it is, it's by clicking on menus and icons, I'm able to use a graphical user interface to actually control what the computer is actually doing. And that's all really that the operating system really does. It lets you basically navigate around the inside of the computer and give it instructions. Now, so this is Windows XP. I'm just using this one. We're coming up now. This is, if you didn't know about it already, this is Windows 8. This is the beta version of Windows 8, and you can see there's another start which is the same as that start there, but it's kind of more like you'd expect from an iPad. But ultimately you can see here, if I were to click on this icon here, that would launch Internet Explorer, and if I wanted to go to, I'm looking around in here now, I can do my calendar here, I can go do the desktop there and change things and all sorts of bits. But basically it's just a menu system which is pretty much the same that you're seeing above in Windows XP. So it's really, the operating system lets you control what software you're going to use, and also, I should have mentioned GUI really. It's called Windows. The reason being that as we open something up, it appears like Word appears down there, and then we could have maybe Excel, and we could have our Internet Explorer, and we can hop between the different applications. And that's what the operating system also lets us do. We're controlling the software here. You could even argue, there's one more thing I was going to say. Oh yes, storage. When you save your document, are you going to save it to your user area? Are you going to save it to your memory stick? Have you got a special area in school, maybe a shared drive or something like that? I don't know. But the whole point is it lets you control the software, the hardware, and where the documents you create, actually where they end up being stored. And you can control the way that the screen looks. And that's what the operating system does. It lets you control. And that's the key word we're looking for, the word control. Control what the computer is actually doing. So you can do that with Windows XP. You'll be able to do that with Windows 8. And I just want to take you through a couple more different operating systems that we could consider. Some of you may recognize this, some of you may not. This is a Mac OS X, and you can just about see along the bottom here, once again, it's a GUI, because it's a graphical user interface, and that enables you to select different programs. And I've never used a Mac before. You can see a calendar down here, and that looks like iTunes as a program now. Look, GarageBand by the looks of it there. I've got my recycle bin. I can control where my documents go in the storage, and I don't know anything else about Apple Macintoshes, to be honest with you. Down here, this is Ubuntu, which is open source. Now, I shall spend a little time on this one, if you don't mind. Like you're going to say, stop, and I can hear you. The whole point is that when you buy a computer, normally it comes pre-installed with Windows or with Mac OS X, Snow Leopard, whatever it's going to be, for your Apple Macintosh. But these all cost you money. They don't come for free. It's supposed to be a pound sign. I put the word money there to emphasize that point. If you buy a machine without an operating system, it will normally come in around about £40 cheaper than if you were to buy a computer that already had an operating system on it. So I guess this really applies to PCs rather than Macs. So you could install your own operating system. You can see there's Ubuntu here, and it's kind of quite similar to Windows, if you like, in some ways. These are my little programs. It's really the start bar is up here. Then on XP it was down there, and you can see there's a little window open there. There's this window's open here. So it's the same principle. So if you wanted to buy a machine, you can actually get you get an operating system Ubuntu. It's completely open source and free of charge, which saves you a few pennies. The only problem with that is that some of the software, Microsoft Office for example, you would not be able to install directly onto this particular machine. You have to use something like OpenOffice, which is fine and dandy for 95% of the things that you guys are going to do. So Windows, Apple Macintosh operating systems, Ubuntu, and then we have this is Android. And more of us now are moving to the concept of tablet PCs. You may use them in your own school. Some of you probably got tablet PCs at home. I mean, most of you probably got the iPad. I think this is a Samsung Galaxy here. I'm not 100% sure. It might be one of these. Often people refer to them as what they call chai pads. I bought one for my school, and it was a little 7-inch chai pad, Chinese pad, that sounds China pads, and it's an unbranded thing. I think it was manufactured by someone called Hanspree, and it had Android 4.3, I think, on it, something like that. I think they call that ice cream sandwich or honeycomb, can't remember which one it is, and it came in at an astonishing £70. That's all it cost, and it's really, really good. You can put all sorts of apps onto that. Once again, just to remind you, apps is just a shortening of application software, which is something we'll look at later on. I've just realised something. I've got another screenshot here. Oh, it's gone over that one. And of course, this operating system here is not OS X, it's iOS, I think it is, isn't it? I've completely forgotten. I own one of these, and I've completely forgotten what it's called. iOS 5, IO5? I don't know. Anyway, Apple's tablet, the iPad, has its own operating system, and once again, it's a GUI. You can see on here, for example, if you downloaded Angry Birds, it would appear as an icon here, and you click it and Angry Birds opens up. But you can see here we've got settings here, which if I go into there, enables me to change the Bluetooth settings or my mail accounts and all sorts of things. So I can actually control, let's go back to that word, the operating system lets me control, don't know what that was, but lets me control what the computer is actually doing and where documents are stored and how the desktop is arranged, and just a general sort of look and feel and storage of bits and bobs. So that's all the operating system does. So a quick recap: you've got your operating systems, iOS, I think, on the Apple products. Maybe I'm not confident about that. We've got our Android operating system on our tablets, and then of course we go back and you have your open source Ubuntu. And I would strongly advise you, if you can get hold of a cheap PC at home, experiment, play, just get a really cheap computer off eBay and just say, okay, I'll put Ubuntu on it and get it working and install stuff and get it connected to your internet at home. The Macs have got their OS X or Snow Leopard, I don't know what the latest version is, and then we go back to Windows. And you can see we're moving up to Windows 8 now. But there we go, operating systems. You control the software, the hardware, and where documents are basically stored.